Absolutely no OT, sure thing boss. Edit. I know it's Q and not Q. My brain uses Q every day for work and that's what it put down. I work for a very large corporation in the IT department. I worked my way up from first-level support to the back-office team, aka escalation team. Like second level but slightly above them. I essentially fix business-critical issues that are escalated up from first level and second level. On the back-office team we are a team of 6 and we all have certain areas we specialize in but are cross-trained in all areas to help cover when people go on vacation or call in sick. My area of expertise is the network team, and another area that I cannot say or it will give away the company I work for. But to put it in perspective, the company I work for owns several hundred retail locations from coast to coast in the USA. Because we are in the last fiscal quarter of the year, the budget is tightening. Not because the company is low on money, but because all of upper management wants to stay within a certain range so they can get their bonuses for saving the company money. So a very strict no overtime policy is implemented. At first I didn't think nothing of this because I preferred to work my 40 hours a week and spend time with my family. But there was a particular incident this past Friday that fueled my malicious compliance on Saturday. As I said before, there are 6 of us on the back office team. But on Friday, we had one guy off on PTO and couple callens, which left just myself and another guy working. We will call him Matt. Matt worked the opening shift and I worked a later evening, closing shift to cover the West Coast. Because it was just the 2 of us we were pretty busy. As the day wore on and closer to Matt's quitting time, we were slammed. We had 4 locations where their network had gone down and I was dealing with 2 techs on site I was trying to guide to set up new equipment. When 5 p.m. hit, Matt had asked management if he could stay an extra 30 minutes to help me out. Management gave very quick and hard no, and reminded us of the no OT policy. So Matt had to leave at his scheduled time and leave me with a huge mess to try and fix. I worked the rest of the night on back-to-back issues and I was able to get them sorted out before it was my quitting time. But I had to work through my break. That is when I decided I would not overextend myself and will follow the new policy. The next day is when the malicious compliance started. I was working the Saturday shift and since Saturdays are slower, just 2 of us are scheduled. Well, on this particular Saturday the guy the first was supposed to work with called in and because no OT was allowed they couldn't call in another to help me out. As the day wore on I was increasingly busy being the only back office person working. The last hour of my shift, something broke on the server side and dozens of stores were not able to perform transactions or take credit card payments. I worked hard to resolve it but the end of my shift was nearing. Cue malicious compliance. The end of my shift hit and I had made 0 strides in fixing the issue. But because we were on a strict no OT policy, I clocked out and left, leaving dozens of stores down and unable to make money. I forwarded the information to the on-call supervisor but they rarely check anything over the weekend. So the issue went untouched until Sunday afternoon when management finally seen my reports and emails from Saturday afternoon. The company lost countless dollars in sales. Probably in the 6-figure range at least. My phone was blowing up all day Sunday as management tried to get further details from me. But because of the no OT policy, I could not answer my phone as that would require me to log hours and that would be overtime. So I did not speak with management until today. When asked why I left work without fixing the issue, I simply showed them the no OT policy emails they have sent out every week for the past few weeks. They quietly dismissed me back to work knowing they had messed up and caused this. A few hours of overtime cost the company hundreds of thousands of dollars. Ah yes. If you reduce hours, the workload automatically matches the amount of hours worked. Some stupid suit. Let me guess. Company lost money but the IT director got their bonus because IT department exceeded their budget. Goals. Management stupidity is generally monumental. Absolutely no overtime sounds stupid for a service department, but management can be penny wise, pound foolish. No exceptions, ever, is by far the stupidest policy, no matter what we're talking about, because there are always exceptions. No hotels over $300 a night, ever. Quote, okay, well, our biggest customer is in NYC and they're demanding someone be in their office at 7 a.m. tomorrow. The cheapest hotel without roaches is $350. No exceptions? Really? It always amazes me how companies constantly lose hundreds of thousands if not millions of dollars in an effort to save a few hours of paid labor. But motivating the managers with fiscal incentives will save the company money. Penny smart, dollar stupid. A tale as old as management. We are a team of 6 Friday. We had one guy off on PTO and couple Callan's Saturday. The guy the first was supposed to work with called in. Is your workplace toxic as hell or something? 3 callouts in 2 days for a 6-person team is terrible. When the pandemic started, my employer took advantage of a state program to put all non-management employees on partial unemployment, but without the employer having to pay into the unemployment fund. They saw it as free money. But we were required to not work more than 24 hours per week for the company to qualify for the program. No OT allowed. And don't you dare check your email, I am off the clock. They were serious about wanting their government handout. They scheduled us for 6 hours, 4 days each week. I was responsible for the most complex technical work and integrations. And for what they paid, they couldn't afford another person with my skill set. The words often thrown around were unicorn or guru. During this period, they could rarely get through a week without asking me to clock in early, late to address some high priority situation. And each week I would clock out for the week at the end of the day, Wednesday or midday Thursday. Then the texting would start. Boss, how do we do X? Quote, me, read the documentation. Search for X. Boss, but how do we do X with adding Y and Z? Me, that might be doable, but it's not a standard problem and I would need to try some things out and write up a doc. Do you want me to clock in? Quote, boss, no. This went on for 2 months and the problems at the end of each week would often be business crippling. Boss was beyond stressed. Then they bumped our hours up to 30 per week, but included all non-exec managers in the partial unemployment scheme. That only lasted 1 month because boss did the exact same thing once he reached his hours each week. And they couldn't survive without their 2 human punching bags. Boss left 6 months later. I left 6 months after that. Last I heard, the security team had to take over IT duties because apparently paying peanuts doesn't get you a top-notch IT team. Fuck upper management and their bonuses. Good on op. The higher up the ladder you climb, the more out of touch you become. Which is nicer than saying, the higher up you climb the dumber you become. Well done. It's completely stupid to implement a no OT policy and fail to have a exempt salaried employee on call who can step in and take over in case of emergency. It's also completely stupid for the on-call supervisor to ignore emails on the weekend. They should really have some sort of escalation system that automatically pages the supervisor when issues are not being resolved. Ideally, The supervisor should be that exempt employee who can step in and fix issues if need be. Not just because of the new policy. It's just basic business continuity. What if you, God forbid, fell under a bus? It's very likely that upper management assumed that middle management will take the necessary steps while implementing the new policy. I hope they learned a lesson. You misunderstood. You were supposed to work the OT but not get paid for it. Didn't you know? Your employer is family? How could you do that to family? How is the C-suite going to get another Ferrari if you're not taking one for the team? A few hours of overtime, endless greed cost the company hundreds of thousands of dollars. FTFY. On a serious note, you just put a huge target on your back. I would start recording conversations around management. Someone is going to get hammered for this and they will come after you and find a way to get rid of you. I'm just fascinated by the use of the term call-ins to describe call-outs. If you want to read the 8K SEC filing of a public company, that's where you find what they paid out in bonus. I have been a field service technician for 39 years. The last company I worked for required me to be at my first service call at 8:30 a.m. I was not allowed to access the company computer system to get my daily calls until 8:30 a.m. Go figure. Idiots are gonna idiot. I'm very grateful my managers and higher-ups behave in the best interest of the customers and the long-term view of the company. Nice MC. A few hours of overtime cost the company hundreds of thousands of dollars. You've summed up Business 101 in one sentence. Great job.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.